10 Business English Phrasal Verbs from espressoenglish.net. If you work in an English-speaking environment, you might hear these common phrasal verbs used in business situations. Number 1. Draw up. To draw up an agreement, a contract, a list, etc. means to compose the document and put it in written form. For example, my lawyer will draw up a contract and send it for your review. Number 2. Get ahead. This means to be successful in your career or life, to make more progress than others. For example, you need to make lots of connections in order to get ahead in this industry. Number 3. Burn out. To burn out means to work too hard so that you become completely stressed and exhausted. For example, if you keep working 16-hour days, you'll burn out within a month. Number 4. Not measure up. If something doesn't measure up, it means it is not satisfactory. It doesn't compare well with the standards. For example, this designer's work just doesn't measure up to the quality we've come to expect. Number 5. Zero in on. To zero in on something means to focus closely on it. For example, we've tried a lot of strategies, but we need to zero in on what's actually working. Number 6. Lay off. If an employee is laid off, he or she loses their job. The company terminates their employment. For example, the R&D department had to lay off a couple of people. Number 7. Pencil in. The phrasal verb pencil in is used when you set an appointment, but you don't confirm it as final. For example, let's pencil in a lunch meeting next Wednesday. Number 8. Close down. This means to stop operating. For example, the company closed down the factory because it wasn't meeting production quotas. Number 9. Run something by or past someone. This phrasal verb means to show an idea or proposal to that person and ask for their approval or feedback. For example, that's an interesting idea. Let's run it by the boss and see what she thinks. Number 10. Sign off on. This means to give official approval for something. For example, the manager signed off on the revised budget for 2015. If you're learning English for your job or career, it helps to know the specific phrases, vocabulary, and expressions that are used in day-to-day life on the job. The Business English course will teach you these words and expressions. It has 30 lessons that focus on interviews, meetings, presentations, negotiations, and more. And if you'd like to learn more phrasal verbs, check out the Phrasal Verbs in Conversation course, where you'll learn 500 phrasal verbs in everyday spoken English. Visit espressoenglish.net, click on Courses, and look for the Business English course and Phrasal Verbs in Conversation to see more information about these courses, as well as take some sample lessons. Lesson 13. Meetings. Today you're going to learn almost 100 practical English phrases to use in meetings. Many of them, such as the phrases for expressing opinions, agreeing, and disagreeing, can also be used in other situations outside of work. Let's begin with a few vocabulary words. The verbs typically used with meeting are have and hold. For example, we're going to have another department meeting on Friday. Let's hold a meeting to discuss the policy changes. You can also use schedule, arrange, or organize to talk about having a meeting in the future. When you participate in a meeting, you attend the meeting. That's more formal. Or go to the meeting. That's more informal. For example, did you go to the project team meeting? Several people did not attend the development meeting. A well-organized meeting will have an agenda. That's a list of topics, often called items, that will be discussed. In some meetings, one person keeps notes that will be the official record of the meeting. These are called the meeting minutes. Why hold a meeting? There are many different reasons. One is to brainstorm. Brainstorming is creating a lot of different ideas so that they can later be analyzed, evaluated, and the best ones can be selected. Brainstorming is often done as a first step in a project before there is a definite plan. Another reason to hold a meeting is to develop a strategy and allocate tasks. A strategy is a plan for completing a project, and to allocate tasks means to assign specific items of work to specific people. Meetings are also held to collaborate, work together, on projects, and give updates, reports of progress and current status. Finally, meetings are held to make decisions. Some meetings use a formal system of voting, in which a decision is made if it receives the majority, more than 50%, of the votes. Other meetings use a less formal system of decision-making, aiming for the group to come to a consensus. That means a general agreement. Let's learn some phrases for beginning a meeting. To start the meeting leader, who is also called the chairperson or chair, may use one of these phrases. Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming today. Since everyone is here, let's get started. First, I'd like to welcome you all. If there are new people in the meeting, or people from different departments who might not know each other, the chairperson may introduce them, using these phrases. I'd like to take a moment to introduce Carla from the Public Relations Department. Please join me in welcoming Jim, a consultant who will be helping us with project management. Sheila, would you like to introduce yourself? Finally, it's good to state the specific topic or objective of the meeting in order to focus the discussion. For example, as you can see from the agenda, we'll be talking about I've called this meeting in order to. Our main goal today is to. For example, our main goal today is to determine the budget for 2013. Phrases for asking for opinions. Meetings often begin with the presentation of some information and then a request for opinions. To ask people for their opinions, you can say, "What does everyone think about?" "I'd like to get your feedback on." "What are your thoughts about?" "What are your views on?" After one person has expressed his or her opinion, you can say "thanks" to acknowledge the opinion. Then use these phrases to ask for more people to respond. What does everyone else think? Are there any other comments? If there's a specific person who you would like to hear from, you can ask him or her directly by using these phrases. Susan, can we get your input? Would you like to add anything, Susan? Now let's learn some phrases for giving your opinion, with some detail in order to give you some flexibility in the way you express your opinion. These phrases are strong. I strongly believe that. I'm positive that. I'm convinced that. I have no doubt whatsoever that. There's no question that. This last one, there's no question that, is the strongest. Here are some phrases to express your opinion in a normal way. I think, I believe, or I feel that. From my point of view. In my experience, or I find that. Use these phrases to base your opinion on your experience. I'd say that. If you want my honest opinion, I think that. Or, to be honest. Use these phrases when you want to express a negative or critical opinion. The word honest is a diplomatic way to signal that you are going to say something negative or unpopular. Finally, here are some phrases for stating a weak opinion. You can say, "It seems to me that," "It's possible that," "I tend to think that," "My initial reaction is." Use this phrase to show that this is an opinion you haven't thought very deeply about. Agreeing and disagreeing. Once other people in the meeting have expressed their opinions, you can react by agreeing or disagreeing. Here are some appropriate phrases for this purpose, again, based on degree of strength. Strong agreement. I completely agree. I couldn't agree more. You're absolutely right. Normal agreement. Exactly. That's just how I see it. I'm with Peter on this. You can use this phrase to refer to another colleague's opinion. Partial agreement. Well, it depends. I agree with you up to a point, but... This means that you agree with some of the opinion, but not all of it. I agree with you in principle, but... This means you agree with the opinion in theory, but not in practice. Normal disagreement. In English, saying "I disagree" can be a little too direct and may be considered impolite. Use one of these phrases instead to disagree diplomatically. I'm afraid I disagree. I'm not so sure about that. I see it differently. Yes, but... Not necessarily. Strong disagreement. Finally, here are some phrases for disagreeing strongly. The words "I'm sorry" make the phrase more polite. I'm sorry, but I completely disagree. I'm sorry, but I don't agree with that at all. Settling a disagreement. What do you do if you're in charge of a meeting and people are arguing? Use one of these phrases to settle the disagreement and continue the meeting. We don't seem to be getting anywhere with this, so maybe we could discuss it further at another time. Let's move on. I think we're going to have to agree to disagree. Suggestions. If you'd like to make a suggestion or recommendation, you can use these phrases. The weaker phrases introduce an option as a possibility, and the stronger phrases give more emphasis to your belief that it is a good idea. Weak phrases. We could. Why don't you? Or why don't we? How about? Or what about? Strong phrases for suggestions. I suggest. I recommend. We should. Let's. Note that the phrases we could, why don't we should, and let's are followed by the base form of the verb. For example, we could invest in new technology. The phrases how about, what about, I suggest, and I recommend are followed by the ing form. How about investing in new technology? Interrupting. At times you might want to interrupt the discussion to add a point. Here are 3 polite ways to do that. May I have a word? Could I just say one thing? Excuse me, sorry for interrupting, but... Controlling the meeting. If you're controlling the meeting, you'll need these phrases to move the discussion to the next item on the agenda. I think we've spent enough time on this topic. Moving on. If nobody has anything else to add, let's move on to the next item. We're running short on time, so let's move on. I'd like to skip item 2 and go directly to item 3. This means you want to go from item 1 directly to item 3. If you'd like to give control of the discussion to another person, you can say this. I'd like to hand it over to Brian, who is going to lead the next point. Next, Brian is going to tell us about. Finally, it's common for discussions to go off topic. However, you can bring the discussion back to the main point by using one of these phrases. I'm afraid that's outside the scope of this meeting. I think we're getting a bit off topic. We'd better save that for another meeting. Let's get back on track, okay? Getting back to. Closing. At the end of the meeting, use one of these phrases to close it. It looks like we've covered the main items on the agenda. That will be all for today. If no one has anything else to add, then I think we'll wrap this up. You can also use a phrase similar to the ones used at the end of presentations, such as, "Let me quickly summarize the main points." You can also set a date for the next meeting. Our next meeting will be, or let's get together, on January 29th, on the first Monday of next month, 2 weeks from today. If the date of the next meeting is not yet scheduled, then you can say, "I'll let you know the date of our next meeting." Now you know all the phrases you need to participate in a meeting in English. We've covered a lot of material today, so make sure you take the quiz to practice the vocabulary. Common Mistakes in Business English Writing from espressoenglish.net. When writing letters and emails for work, it's important to write correctly because mistakes can make your English look unprofessional. In today's lesson, you'll learn how to avoid 10 common mistakes in business English writing. Number 1. I am writing in respect of our recent purchase. Instead, you should write, I am writing in reference to, I am writing with regard to, or I am writing regarding or concerning our recent purchase. All of these options are correct, but you can't use in respect of. Number 2. We would like to regret the delay. Regret means you feel bad for doing something wrong, so you need to say, we regret the delay, or we would like to apologize for the delay. The word assure is followed by a person. It means to help remove the person's doubt. The word insure is followed by a fact. Insure means to help guarantee the fact. So you should write, I assure you that our products are of the highest quality. We have a quality control process to ensure that every item is free from defects. Again, assure is followed by a person, and insure is followed by a fact. Number 4. Your order will be shipped until Wednesday at the latest. When talking about events that will be completed before a certain date in the future, use by for a single specific event and use until for a continuous event. Shipping the order is a single specific event, so we need to use by. Your order will be shipped by Wednesday at the latest. Here's an example of a continuous action where you need to use until. We will be performing maintenance until the 25th. The maintenance will be continuous until stopping on the 25th. Number 5. I would like to request some information about your services. In English, the word information is an uncountable noun, so it is never plural. This means we need to write, I would like to request some information about your services. Number 6. We accept all major credit cards. The word accept, spelled with an A, means to receive willingly, and the word accept, spelled with an E, means to exclude. When speaking, these words are pronounced the same, accept. When writing, we need to make sure to use the correct one. The correct sentence is, we accept, with an A, all major credit cards. Here's an example of accept with an E used correctly. We offer free shipping to every U.S. state except Alaska and Hawaii. This means Alaska and Hawaii are not included in the free shipping offer. Number 7. We appreciate your cooperate. After articles like a, an, and the, and possessives like my, your, his, her, our, and their, always use a noun, not a verb. Cooperate is a verb. So the correct sentence is, we appreciate your cooperation. Cooperation is the noun form of cooperate. Number 8. I want you to send me the files right now. In professional communications, it's important to be polite, especially when making a request, giving an order, or expressing criticism. A better way to write this sentence is, could you please send me the files as soon as possible? The expression, could you, and including the word please, make the sentence sound more polite. Number 9. The conference begins on Friday, July 8th. It will be held in Los Angeles, California. Not using correct capitalization and punctuation makes a very bad impression in professional communications. In English, we capitalize the first word of each sentence, proper names, names of cities, states, countries, and languages, names of days of the week and months, and the word I. So the correct way to write the sentence is like this. The conference begins on Friday, July 8th. It will be held in Los Angeles, California. We capitalize the first word of each new sentence, the day of the week, Friday, the month, July, and the city and state, Los Angeles, California. Number 10. I look forward to hear from you. After the expression look forward to, always use a noun or the ing form of the verb. So the correct sentence is, I look forward to hearing from you. Here are 2 more examples. You can write, I look forward to visiting your company, or I look forward to the visit. In the first case, we use the verb in the ing form, visiting, and in the second case, we use the noun, the visit. Visit espressoenglish.net to take the Business English course, where you can learn practical English for phone calls, interviews, negotiations, meetings, presentations, letters and emails, and more. Thanks for watching.
Lesson 9, Business Idioms, Part 1. Idioms are short phrases with meanings that are different from the meanings of their individual words. Idioms are different from slang. Idioms are in between formal and informal, so they are acceptable in everyday English conversations and emails, including some communication at work. Slang is very informal and is usually used in humor, music, and conversations between close friends. Formal English is used in official business, legal, and academic areas. Casual English includes idioms and is used in everyday conversation and emails. And informal English can use slang. You'll find that in humor and music. Slang is almost never used in business English, but idioms are often used in conversations and emails, so I'm going to introduce you to some common idiomatic expressions. This is the method we'll use for learning the idioms. First, look at the example of the idiom in context. Then, try to guess the meaning of the idiom. Then, wait for the answer and explanation. Why do I recommend these 3 steps? Well, it's important to try to figure out the meanings of the idioms from the context. This helps you think actively about the expressions and learn to understand new expressions faster. Ready? Let's begin. Number 1. We showed the president 20 ideas for new products, but she didn't like any of them, so we had to go back to the drawing board. Does go back to the drawing board mean A, ask other people for advice, B, start again from the beginning, or C, reuse a good idea from the past? Go back to the drawing board means B, start again from the beginning. Designers and engineers often draw a picture of a product as the first step in its development, so going back to the drawing board means to start again at step 1 of a process. Number 2. Our sales estimates were way off the mark. We'd projected sales of 15 million, but the actual numbers were closer to 9 million. Does way off the mark mean A, too optimistic, B, higher than average, or C, very wrong or inaccurate? Way off the mark means C, very wrong or inaccurate. This idiom comes from the sport of archery, where arrows that do not hit the target are said to be off the mark. The word way means very, so way off the mark means very inaccurate. Number 3. The text for the article is almost perfect. I just want to tweak 1 or 2 sentences. Does tweak mean A, remove, B, make small adjustments, or C, make longer? Tweak means B, make small adjustments. I don't know the origin of this word, but it can be used as either a noun or a verb. You can say, I want to tweak 1 or 2 things, or I want to make a few tweaks, to talk about minor adjustments. Number 4. I need to submit a weekly report on this project, so please keep me in the loop. Does in the loop mean A, informed or updated, B, working hard, or C, in the office? In the loop means A, informed or updated. You can also say the opposite, out of the loop, if you are not being informed or updated about a project or news. Number 5. 3 people from my department are on vacation, so I've got a lot on my plate at the moment. Does I've got a lot on my plate mean A, I have a lot of responsibilities, B, I wish I was on vacation too, or C, I have nothing to do? I've got a lot on my plate means A, I have a lot of responsibilities. If you go to a buffet and you put a lot of food on your plate, then you are obligated to eat it all. So, having a lot on your plate means you have many tasks or responsibilities. Number 6. The rule of thumb is to reinvest no more than 30%, but it's okay if you go over that number occasionally. Does rule of thumb mean A, minimum amount, B, strict limit, or C, general practice? Rule of thumb means C, general practice. A rule of thumb is a general rule or general practice that may have exceptions in some situations. This is your thumb. If you use your thumb to measure something, you can get a general idea, but the measurement will not be perfectly accurate. So, a general rule with exceptions permitted is called a rule of thumb. Number 7. Bob said I missed the deadline, but I want to set the record straight. I submitted my work on time, but he didn't check his email. Does set the record straight mean A, correct a mistake and say the truth, B, express a different opinion, or C, get permission? Set the record straight means A, correct a mistake and say the truth. When there is a misunderstanding or something was falsely reported, you should set the record straight. Say what is true so that people have the correct understanding of the situation. Number 8. We have until December to prepare these documents, so let's put them on the back burner for now. We have other more urgent projects. Does put them on the back burner mean A. Send them back to their origin, B. Give them low priority, or C. Finish them quickly? To put something on the back burner means B. Give it low priority. This idiom comes from cooking. The picture shows a stove with 4 burners. If you are cooking multiple things at the same time, you put the less important items which don't need your attention on the back burner, and you put the items on which you are actively working on the front burner. So, to put something on the back burner is to temporarily give it low priority and less attention. Number 9. That program never produced any significant results, so the director finally decided to pull the plug. Does pull the plug mean A. Get personally involved, B. Improve the technology, or C. Stop or discontinue? Pull the plug means C. Stop or discontinue. The picture shows a plug. If you pull, remove, the plug of your television from the source of electricity, the television will stop working. So, to pull the plug on a project or program means to discontinue it. Number 10. Yesterday's meeting lasted 4 hours, but in a nutshell, we decided to close our office in India and open a branch in China. Does in a nutshell mean A. In an argument, B. In the end, or C. In summary? In a nutshell means C. In summary. When you summarize a lot of information in a short phrase or explanation, you can begin the statement with in a nutshell. The picture shows nuts. The shell is the hard exterior of the nut. A nutshell is very small, so when you put a lot of information into a small number of words, you can say in a nutshell to express the fact that you are giving a summary. Number 11. Laura didn't go to the meeting. Could you send her a summary of the discussion to bring her up to speed? Does bring her up to speed mean A. Help her work faster, B. Give her the most recent information, or C. Find out what her perspective is? Bring her up to speed means B. Give her the most recent information. If someone is up to speed, it means they are fully informed about the latest information. So, to bring or get someone up to speed is to give them the most recent information so that they can be up to date on the current situation. Number 12. Don't make any changes without talking to Peter. He's the one calling the shots on this project. Does calling the shots mean A. Communicating with the supervisor, B. Making the important decisions, or C. Working very hard? Call the shots means B. Making the important decisions. The person who is calling the shots is the one who has authority to decide what must be done, and other people must follow his or her instructions. Now take the quiz to put these idioms into practice, and come back tomorrow for your first progress test to review what you've learned so far.
10 Business English Phrases for Positive Performance Evaluations from EspressoEnglish.net. A performance evaluation is an evaluation of an employee's work, skills, and attitude on the job. It can also be called a performance review or performance appraisal. During a performance evaluation, an employee may hear both positive and negative feedback, comments about his or her work.
The employee's manager will often praise the employee's strong points and identify some areas for improvement. Positive phrases. Stays up to date with developments in the field. Up to date means current, so this phrase means that the employee keeps his or her knowledge about the field, area of work or study current. Is conscientious and detail-oriented. Someone who is conscientious is very careful in their work, carefully checks to make sure their work is correct and is of good quality. And detail-oriented means pays attention to the details. Is proactive and resourceful. A proactive person takes action to make things happen. They don't just react to events. The opposite of proactive is passive. Someone who is resourceful is able to use resources well and in creative ways, especially in difficult situations. Has a positive outlook. The word outlook means attitude or point of view. Is disciplined and punctual. If you describe a person as disciplined, it doesn't mean that they were punished. Instead, it means that they have self-discipline, the ability to control their own behavior and follow the rules. Someone who is punctual consistently arrives on time. Is an excellent team player. Someone who is a team player works well with other people. This employee is good at collaborating with his or her coworkers. Shows a lot of initiative and takes the lead on projects. The word initiative means the power to begin things and work on them energetically. It is similar to the word proactive. A person who is proactive has a lot of initiative. Is a seasoned professional with versatile expertise. A seasoned professional is someone who has been working for a long time and has a lot of experience and is therefore good at their job. The word expertise means skill or knowledge in a particular area, and if someone's expertise is versatile, it means the person is capable of doing many different things well. Is driven to succeed and strives for maximum effectiveness. Describing a person as driven means they are extremely motivated and ambitious. To strive means to try very hard with lots of effort. Never fails to capitalize on opportunities. To capitalize on something means to use it for your advantage. To learn business English for your career, take the Business English course at espressoenglish.net. You'll learn practical English for phone calls, interviews, negotiations, meetings, presentations, letters and emails, and much more. Visit espressoenglish.net to take the Business English course. 10 Business English Phrases for Negative Performance Evaluations from espressoenglish.net. A performance evaluation is an evaluation of an employee's work, skills, and attitude on the job. It can also be called a performance review or performance appraisal.
During a performance evaluation, an employee may hear both positive and negative feedback, comments about his or her work. The employee's manager will often praise the employee's strong points and identify some areas for improvement. Negative phrases. Occasionally fails to adhere to guidelines. The word guidelines refers to the rules and regulations for a task or for work in general. The word adhere is simply a more formal word for stick to or follow, so this employee sometimes does not follow the proper rules for his or her work. Is indecisive and often produces mediocre results. Describing somebody as indecisive means the person has difficulty making firm decisions and having confidence in their decisions. If the employee's work is mediocre, it means it is of moderate to inferior quality. There is nothing especially good or special about it. Has had difficulty in mastering the new procedures. To master something means to learn it very well. Is rather inconsistent in meeting deadlines. Deadlines are the final dates before which tasks must be finished. If an employee is inconsistent in meeting deadlines, it means he or she does not always finish their work on time. Lacks the ability to prioritize projects appropriately. The word prioritize means to put things in order of importance. If an employee lacks this ability, it means he or she does not have this ability. Needs to focus more on delegation. Delegation is the act of giving tasks to other people, not keeping all the tasks for yourself. The verb form is delegate. Demonstrates little willingness to learn new skills. Your willingness to do something is how open-minded and interested you are in doing it. So this employee does not appear to be interested in learning new things. Areas for improvement include productivity and time management. During a performance evaluation, it's often a good idea to present negative comments in a more positive way, as opportunities to improve. This employee needs to improve his or her productivity, how much work they can produce, and time management, how they organize their time and schedule. Should work on improving the clarity and timeliness of communication. This employee's communication needs to be clearer, clarity, not confusing or vague. The employee also needs to communicate in a timely way, at the right time, not too late. Should avail himself of the opportunity to pursue further training. To avail oneself of something means to make use of it. The word pursue in this context means to try to accomplish something. So this employee should take the opportunity to get more training. To learn business English for your job or career, take the Business English course at espressoenglish.net. You'll learn practical English words and phrases for phone calls, interviews, negotiations, meetings, presentations, letters and emails, and much more. Visit espressoenglish.net to take the Business English course. Hi everyone, today I'm going to teach you some business English buzzwords. These are some more informal words and expressions that you might hear in the context of work or business English. Are you ready? So let's say you're a creative person and you try to push the envelope at your company. Push the envelope means to move beyond the limits of what is normally done, to innovate and go into new areas. Maybe you want to cause a paradigm shift in your company or industry. A paradigm shift is a radical change in fundamental beliefs or theory. For example, when people went from believing that the sun revolved around the earth to knowing that the earth revolved around the sun, that was one example of a paradigm shift. Now, your innovative ideas might get some pushback in the company. Pushback is opposition or resistance to an initiative. Some of your coworkers might tell you, "Don't rock the boat," or "Don't make waves." These expressions both mean don't do anything to disturb the current situation. Unfortunately, your company is having a budget crunch or a budget squeeze. That means there's not enough money to do everything that is planned. So the company needs to streamline its operations. Streamline means to make more efficient, usually by simplifying things. The company decides to cut some of its workers, and unfortunately, you lose your job. Then you decide to start your own company. You'll have to do it on a shoestring budget. A shoestring budget means very little money. Maybe you can pitch your idea to investors. To pitch an idea means to try to convince somebody to support it or to invest in it. But nobody's interested in investing, so you'll have to bootstrap. That means do it with your own work and your own resources without outside help. Luckily, you find a business partner who's on the same wavelength. That means you have similar thoughts, opinions, and ideas. You're thinking and moving in the same direction. And together, you manage to put your company on the map. To put something on the map means to make it known to the public or make it famous. You decide to reinvest the lion's share of your profits back into the company. The lion's share is the majority, the largest part. And as a result, your company's products are world class. World class means of the highest quality. I hope you've enjoyed this little story and also learned some new vocabulary along the way. If you're interested in improving your skills for using English at work or in a business context, check out my Business English course. It will teach you phrases and vocabulary for meetings, phone calls, emails, presentations, and interacting at work in a professional context. You can see the lesson list at espressoenglish.net/business-english-course. Go ahead and check it out. Thanks for watching today.